Okay, so, into the deep dive we go, right?
Always.
And this one's special. I mean,
Huh.
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I mean, come
I
on.
know, this is like the deep dive of deep dives.
Right. And for people out there maybe who haven't actually spent time with this book, it's not like, you know, a super polished
Treatise, right.
yeah, like it's not like
It's a big philosophy book that he's laying out, like an argument.
yeah, exactly. It's like a window almost
Totally.
into the thoughts of a Roman emperor.
Yeah. And these are his own, like, personal notes,
Yeah,
like his reminders to himself.
exactly.
And they're written in Greek
Yeah.
around the end of the 2nd century AD,
Wow.
probably while he was on, like, military campaigns, actually.
So, I mean, talk about pressure, right?
Right. Like, you're a Roman emperor, you're leading armies, and you're like, wait a minute. Let me just jot down this thought about virtue.
Yeah, it's just so, I don't know, it's just so human.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so powerful, I think. It's him talking to himself about how to be a better person, how to deal with all this, chaos and pressure.
And the fact that these very personal reflections, they still resonate with us like thousands of years later,
Oh, it's crazy.
it's unbelievable.
And we have 12 books of this.
12 books filled with these just like nuggets of wisdom. Some of them are short, some of them are long.
It really is like a journal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And our mission, for this deep dive is to try and understand, I mean, what are the core principles here? What are the ideas that are still relevant today?
Yeah, why is this still something that people pick up and find so much meaning in?
Yeah, why does this work? And I guess a good place to start, to get into this is book 1, which is, all about acknowledgments and gratitude.
Yeah, he starts off by, like, listing all these people who influenced him.
Yeah, it's like a shout out, right?
Right, like a personal thank you note.
Exactly, to all the people who like shaped his thinking and who he is.
And it's a lesson in humility right off the bat.
Absolutely.
Because here he is, this, like, powerful emperor, and he's saying, look, I didn't get here on my own.
Yeah, I've been influenced by all these people.
Exactly. And he names his grandfather Verus.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the things he says about him, and I just love this, is that he had decency and a mild temper.
Wow. Decency and a mild temper.
Which, for Roman emperor, that's pretty remarkable.
I mean, that's like gold, right?
Right. So it's interesting that he starts not with, like, grand philosophies,
Right.
but with just acknowledging the impact of these individuals.
Yeah, the human element,
Yeah. And I think that's what makes the rest of the book so powerful, because it grounds it.
It does.
It's not some detached philosopher.
Right, it's a real person.
This is someone who's deeply aware of, where he came from and the lessons he learned from others.
Yeah, yeah. And it makes me think, for all of us listening, who are the people who have shaped us?
Yeah. Who are we grateful for?
Absolutely. Who are those people?
And then we get to book 2.
Book 2.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
It does get interesting.
Because here, he introduces this idea that, you should begin each day with death in mind.
Oh, okay, so memento mori.
Memento mori.
Yeah, that's the Latin for remember you will die.
Exactly. Which, first thing in the morning, that's a bit intense.
It's a little bit intense. But the idea is not to, like, be morbid. Right.
No.
It's more about using that awareness of our limited time to sharpen our focus on how we're actually living right now.
Exactly. And he says it so beautifully.
Oh, does he have a quote for that?
He does. He
Yeah.
says you could leave life right now.
Yeah.
Let that determine what you do and say and think.
Let that determine what you do and say and think. Wow. That's,
It's powerful.
that is really powerful.
Yeah, it's not just about urgency, though.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
about clarifying your values.
Values, okay.
Like, what do you want to be remembered for?
Mm.
What kind of person do you want to be in the time that you have left?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, what resonates with you about that perspective?
I think, for me, it cuts through a lot of the noise.
The noise.
Yeah, like the daily distractions.
Okay, yeah.
When you really
Yeah.
consider that your time is limited, those little annoyances, those things that we tend to stress out about,
They seem so small. Right.
it just seems so insignificant. It's a way to, like, reprioritize.
Yeah, yeah, to focus on what really matters.
Exactly. And then we move on to book 3.
Okay, book 3.
And this is where we get into the, the nuts and bolts of Stoicism.
Oh, okay.
Self-discipline and rational thinking.
Self-discipline and rational thinking.
Yeah, aligning your actions with reason,
Reason.
with understanding how the world actually works.
Okay.
Not with your emotions, not with external pressure.
Right, right.
And there's this quote I love where he says, if something is difficult for you to accomplish, do not assume it is impossible for anyone.
Do not assume it is impossible for anyone.
Okay, that's a good one.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it challenges those limitations that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
If you're facing a tough situation, maybe it's not that the situation itself is impossible.
Right.
Maybe it's your perception of it.
Yeah, or maybe it's the way you're approaching it.
Exactly. So it's about perseverance.
Okay, perseverance.
And about recognizing human potential.
So if other people have done it,
Right.
then, maybe I can too.
Yeah. What assumptions are you making about yourself?
That's really good.
And then book 4, we get into change.
Change. All right.
Yeah, the title's Change is Nature.
Change is nature. Okay.
And he's really emphasizing this idea that, we're in a constant state of flux.
Yeah, everything's always changing. And he has this quote where he says, let me see if I can find it. Everything is only for a day, both that which remembers and that which is remembered.
Everything is only for a day. Wow, that's
It's beautiful, isn't it?
it is beautiful, but it's also like a little bit sad, right?
Yeah, there's a kind of bittersweetness to it.
Because it means like everything is temporary.
It is. Our experiences, our possessions, even our memories.
Yeah,
But there's also a kind of freedom in that, I think.
freedom. Okay.
Because if everything is changing, then nothing can truly harm us.
Okay, harm us. How do you mean?
Well, the Stoics believe that what truly harms us are our own judgments and our
Our
attachments.
judgments and attachments. Okay.
But the external world, the things that happen to us, those are just part of this flow of change.
Okay, so it's about accepting change.
Yeah, not resisting it.
Mm-mm.
Because resistance is what causes suffering.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So book 5 is all about duty
Duty. Okay.
and cultivating inner strength.
Inner strength. All right.
Yeah. And I love this quote from this book. He says, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being.
I have to go to work as a human being. I love that.
It's so simple, but it's so powerful.
Yeah, it is.
It's not about complaining. It's not about feeling sorry for yourself.
Right.
It's about recognizing your role in the world.
Yeah, your responsibility.
Yeah, and fulfilling that responsibility with, with a sense of purpose.
And inner strength.
Exactly. And I think what he's saying here is that by doing your duty, even when it's hard,
Right.
you're actually building that inner strength.
Like a muscle. Right.
Exactly. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
And then we move to book 6, which is about fate
Fate.
and nature
Nature.
and integrity.
Integrity.
Yeah. And there's this really powerful quote here where he says, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy.
The best revenge is not to be like your enemy.
Wow. That's,
It's deep.
it is deep.
It's about rising above,
Yeah.
Yeah, not letting someone else's negativity drag you down.
Exactly. And, it makes you think about how often we're tempted to, like, fight fire with fire.
Oh, yeah, totally.
To respond to negativity with more negativity.
Yeah.
But Marcus Aurelius is saying, no, that's not the way.
The best revenge is not to be like your enemy.
Right. True strength lies in maintaining your own integrity.
That's good. That's good. So book 7, Inner Fortress.
Yeah, this one's all about building that space within yourself where you can find peace and clarity,
Okay, so inner peace, clarity,
regardless of what's happening around you.
no matter what.
He writes, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul.
That's a beautiful thought, your own soul.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, for our listeners, this isn't about physically isolating yourself.
Right.
It's about cultivating a state of inner stillness,
Inner stillness, okay.
through practices like mindfulness, meditation, maybe even just spending time in nature.
Yeah, finding those things that center you.
Exactly. And then book 8 takes us back to this idea of living in accordance with nature.
Living in accordance with nature, okay.
And he uses this really striking analogy.
Oh, I love analogies.
He says, be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over.
Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. Okay, I'm listening.
It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it.
That is so good.
It's such a vivid image, isn't it?
It is. It's like, no matter what life throws at you,
Right.
you can remain steady.
You can stay grounded.
Be like the rock. I love that.
And then in book 9, he talks about how to deal with other people.
Oh, other people. Yeah, that's a big one.
It is, isn't it?
Especially, dealing with difficult people.
And he gives us this this kind of challenging piece of advice.
Okay, challenging how?
He says, blame yourself or blame no one.
Blame yourself or blame no one. Okay, I see what you mean by challenging.
It's about taking responsibility.
Yeah, owning your part in things.
And it's also about recognizing that sometimes, people just mess up.
Yeah, they make mistakes.
And it's not always about assigning blame.
It's about moving forward, right?
Exactly. Focusing on what you can control.
Okay. Book 10.
This one is about universal reason.
Universal reason.
The Stoics called it logos.
Logos.
And
Okay.
it's this idea that there's an underlying order and intelligence to the universe.
Like a guiding principle.
Yeah, something that governs everything.
Okay.
And they believed that aligning yourself with this reason
Aligning yourself. Okay.
was the path to virtue and fulfillment.
Okay, so living in harmony with that universal reason.
Exactly.
So book 11, what's that one about?
Truth and sincerity.
Truth and sincerity.
And there's this great quote here where he says, "To understand the true quality of people, you must look into their minds and examine their pursuits and aversions."
So like really understanding people's motivations.
Yeah, not just taking things at face value.
Right, going deeper.
And then finally, we get to
Alright.
book 12,
Book 12.
which is all about reflection and letting go.
Reflection and letting go.
Yeah, it's the end of his journey,
Right.
And he's reflecting on the fleeting nature of life.
That idea again.
Yeah, and finding peace in detachment
Detachment from what?
from things outside of your control.
Okay, yeah.
And there's this quote where he says, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit."
Do not waste what remains of your life. So powerful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a reminder to focus on what truly matters.
Yeah, to use our time and energy wisely.
Exactly.
So, I mean, as we've gone through all these books, I mean, what are some of the, like, the big takeaways?
Well, I think the core of Stoicism is this idea of living in accordance with nature and reason,
Okay, living in accordance with nature and reason.
and recognizing that while you can't control external events, you can control your own mind.
Yeah, your reactions, your judgments.
Exactly. Accepting what you can't change.
Except,
Focusing on what you can.
yeah, and living virtuously.
Right. Being kind, being just, being courageous.
So, like, living with intention.
Yeah. Making conscious choices.
And it's amazing to me how these ideas, from thousands of years ago are still so relevant today.
I know. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, in a world that feels so chaotic and uncertain,
Right.
this book, it's like a guide.
It is. It's a guide to self-control, to emotional intelligence, even to leadership.
Yeah, yeah. So for everyone out there listening, I mean, what resonates with you the most?
Yeah, what really speaks to you from Marcus Aurelius' reflections?
And how can you take those insights and actually apply them to your own life?
Yeah, because that's the real power of this book, isn't it?
It is. It's not just about reading it, it's about living it.
Exactly.
So go back to it, revisit it, let it guide you.
Let those ancient words continue to inspire you.
And who knows, maybe you'll find some new wisdom each time you read it.
I think you will.
All right, well, until next time, deep divers, keep diving.
Keep diving.